Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again from Film Fanatic headquarters. It is Sunday at about 9:13. So I hope everyone's doing good. Hope they have had a pretty good weekend and maybe have some fun plans for the end of the weekend. Here it is on a Sunday. It's supposed to be pretty mixed bag. I think we might get some rain later, but it's right now it's pretty nice out. This morning the sun came out for a while. Now it's a little bit overcasty. It's supposed to be kind of scattered a little bit, so we'll see. We had a quantum gig, or we have a quantum gig scheduled today at 1 o'clock um, at the Camden Library at the amphitheater. That's a gig that we have been doing for years, and we love this gig very much. I love it's probably as far as gigs and things related to quantum. I think it's probably my favorite gig when I think about it, just because of the whole atmosphere, the space. It's the acoustics in the amphitheater. It's right at the Camden Library in downtown Camden, or actually right at the top of the hill before you get in downtown, and then the library is right there on the left hand side, and then the amphitheater is directly behind it, and it's just a gorgeous spot. The acoustics are amazing. the the location, obviously, it's right on the water. It's got a whole like really beautiful little wooded area. So we're forging ahead, and we're gonna still try to do the show. So I got some giant tarps. I got in a habit a while back of always keeping tarps in my car just in case. So we, because a lot of things are outside, and a lot of the times you don't know if there's going to be coverage. A lot of times for gigs or venues or whatnot, there isn't. But it seems like now there's a little bit more leeway that way, as far as outdoor kinds of settings. We Today we don't really have any backup plan in case it does rain, other than having these giant tarps that I have that I can just cover my stuff. But so we'll see. We'll see how things go. So speaking of tarps, I played a show yesterday with Electric Bonfire and also Troy Youngblood. And yesterday it rained like crazy. It was a big benefit show for Haystack Mountain, and it was at Lake St. George Brewing, which is such an amazing place. And it was a big fundraiser for the people who have purchased this mountain. So the forecast was not looking good all day yesterday, but they had it so prepared. I was kind of blown away. Thanks to John Luft, who does the sound, who did the sound for the whole show yesterday. He's also the guitar player and one of the main songwriters for Electric Bonfire. He's just one of the most fantastic people ever, and he did the sound for all of the bands. There were four bands that played yesterday, and it was great. And then also Dan Miller, who is uh, pretty much a local superhero. He plays bass with Troy Youngblood, and he's just an amazing guy. The guy has so many talents, so much energy, very similar to John Luft. Has so many different strengths and multiple multiple things. They're all very skilled carpenters. They totally self-sufficient people, and they can really rise to the occasion when pressure mounts to certain situations. They almost become better people. But the two of them really spearheaded and made that show, made the show yesterday really successful. There was a ton of people. It was pretty much sold out, and Dan had set up these tarps that was just it was surreal how many tarps he set up, and he basically saved the day for the audience, and then also the band because of the rain, and it was torrential downpour for most of the day. So, but it ended up being pretty fantastic, the whole event. So we don't have access. I actually even thought about asking Dan if he would like maybe help us out today to set up a tarp, but I don't know. I thought that might be a little bit much because he busted his butt yesterday for hours upon hours. So, but anyway, so today is a show on a movie that I have a deep love for, and I never hear talked about, and that is 1 Hour Photo, starring the late great and iconic comedian Robin Williams. This movie is one of I honestly think it's one of the darkest portrayals of a serial killer. It's one of the greatest like character studies of someone essentially in a complete downward spiral, and it really examines a person kind of losing their mind, but also already has these kind of homicidal, sociopathic tendencies anyway. Um, unbelievable movie. This movie is truly frightening at times. Like Robin Williams in this film is completely unhinged. Um, Unlike anything I'd ever seen before in any of his career, and all of the films that he's done. They that's it's a thing that's said a lot, and I totally agree that one of the hardest things for an actor or somebody to be is to be funny, to be a stand-up comedian. I think as far as those two worlds, like I feel like film is the most complete, the hardest to direct a film and to actually put it out there with your, fully, hopefully with your fully realized vision intact is, I think, overall the hardest and most powerful art form to produce. And on the other side of things, I think the hardest thing to do, like say individually, more so individually, but even with a cast of other actors or other people, the hardest thing to do is to go out, I think, to be in front of an audience with a microphone on a stage somewhere and be funny. It generally is one of the hardest things. It's and it's been said that a lot of the times really great comedians have an incredible well of acting ability, and where they have an incredible amount of diversity. And I've seen that throughout a lot of actors and comedians that I love and that I've have been following, or actors that are very popular, or comedians that are very popular. I think one of the greatest examples of that is Jim Carrey. One of the funniest guys around, and he made some of the greatest comedies in the early '80s or in the '90s. You got to start with Living Color, but he's also done some incredible dramatic roles. I mean, just amazing work. Probably my favorite film that he's ever done is The Truman Show. He plays a very straight-laced kind of guy, but slightly unhinged. And he's done all kinds of films where he completely is in this space where he's not playing a comedian. He's not a very funny guy. It's very serious. But just the depth and the ability that he has, I think, stems from him being so funny to a degree. Other examples of that, I think, are a comedian like Adam Sandler. Not a huge Adam Sandler fan. I think he's made some pretty funny movies, and of course he came out of SNL, but he has an incredible ability as an actor. I mean, to play really serious roles and even kind of disturbing roles. Movies like Punch Drunk Love, or Uncut Gems, which is a movie he did a few years ago, which is a really awesome movie. Really heavy duty kind of character study. It's like a crime drama. It's pretty dark. He plays a really complex character, but he's not funny at all. And but his presence on screen is so powerful. I think another actor, Peter Sellers, even going back further, another, just an incredibly funny character, or an incredibly funny comedian, but his level of depth in all of the films that he's done, and the diversity is kind of staggering. Um, yeah, there's been so many great examples, and I think Robin Williams is another example of that, of where essentially a really great comedian. He's done so many great films. Other movies that I really love of his, I mean, some of his comedies obviously are great. His stand-up stuff was always really funny, and then Mark and Mindy was like his first break. That was a TV show that I used to watch a lot as a kid. And then another film of his that I really think is really really great, the Dead Poets Society. Really powerful movie. Really really great. Again, not he's not playing a dramatic role. He is playing all kinds of things. There's playing a very complex character. Another actor who's not quite a comedian, but he's also so diverse, and he's done a lot of comedies, but then he can bounce back and forth between every role you can think of, but definitely has a background in comedy, and that's like one of his biggest things. Is Michael Keaton. So many, and I think there's been so many examples of actors who have that ability, and I think 1 Hour Photo is for me my favorite role of Robin Williams' career, but it's an incredibly dark portrayal of a serial killer in the making, or just of someone slowly losing their mind. The way it's shot, this film came out in 2002. It was directed by Mark Romanek, and I never hear this movie really talked about. It's I'm really surprised. This film also stars Connie Nielsen, who is an amazing actress. She most recently was is known for the Wonder Woman movies. Probably my favorite movie she's ever been in is the movie with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves, Devil's Advocate. Such an awesome movie. And Connie Nielsen was in that film, and I believe with also Charlize Theron. And I think that was the first movie I had ever seen her in. But man, this movie is so. There's moments in this movie where it's so generally terrifying and creepy, but yet it has this real subtle, uh, slow burn pace to it. And I always talk about being a fan of like atmosphere in movies. Talk about atmosphere. This movie just is like atmosphere in spades. Um, I only have this. I only have this on DVD, but visually, this film is so well shot. The cinematography is breathtaking. This would be a awesome movie to buy eventually on Blu-ray, because it's got a real visual kind of heightened reality to it. So it's the cinematography is so powerful in this movie. The way the lighting is for all of the shots, it really feels like it's almost a another character in the movie. Tremendous movie, and again, I'm always a fan of when actors or actresses truly act. They don't become kind of a parody of themselves throughout their career, or maybe in a string of movies. They really, throw themselves in those roles, and certain actors were, or actresses where you can't really recognize them. Actresses that I think that have that ability to really be actors and to be true chameleons. I mentioned Charlize Theron. She's one of my favorite actresses. Where she her, the diverse amount of roles that she's been in, and on each, in each of those incredible films, you she's almost unrecognizable, and I think another actress that I think is very much of that same kind of ability is Nicole Kidman. Amazing actress. Such an incredible ability to really transform herself. I think Paul Dano he's a very new actor, but I think he's been in some incredible films. And the same thing with him. He is able to reinvent himself. I think another actor, Robert Patterson, each film that he's done, and films that he's currently doing, you can't really recognize him from, he doesn't come with the same tricks. He doesn't come with the same approach all the time. It's always different. It's always about reinvention and pushing the envelope a little bit. And and I think Robin Williams, like, he's mostly made comedies, but he's also, again, one of those actors that has really stretched out throughout his career. And of course, he passed away, unfortunately, a few years back, prematurely. But his track record is pretty was pretty incredible. I mean, the level of diversity in a lot of his films. But this 1 Hour Photo is definitely my favorite film. I just love this film. I just think it's kind of a hidden gem. I don't really hear people talk about it too much. Every now and then, every once in a while, I will come up and we'll talk, and I'll be talking to somebody or whatnot, and we'll be talking about comedians or comedies, and maybe Robin Williams will come up in the conversation. And there's been a few times where I've been like, "Yeah, have you ever seen 1 Hour Photo?" And they've never. Most of the time, from what I remember, they don't had never seen it or never heard of it before. And I usually always recommend it because I'm like, this movie is just like, it's amazing. Like, it's the real deal. Mark Romanek has also made quite a few other movies. I don't know if I've ever seen his other films. Never Let Me Go in 2010, The Overlook Hotel. Huh. Interesting. Static in 1985. But this movie itself is just incredible. I'm a huge fan of this movie. It is definitely something that would be really cool to eventually get on Blu-ray because, again, like I said, it is so rich with the use of cinematography, the lighting, the whole aesthetic around this movie, the way even to the filters that are used for the lighting. It is such a visual feast, and it really is a really immersive film, really about world building, that I think that this movie would be incredible on Blu-ray. But this DVD copy is really really good. This actually has tons of special features. There's an old interview with him, Mark Romanek, and Robin Williams when they were on the Charlie Rose show. That's really, really good. This is I think up until this point when this movie came out, Robin Williams hadn't really stepped out of the comedy cage, if you will. This was one of his first roles that he played a really dark character, incredibly dark and terrifying. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite Robin Williams film. 1 Hour Photo. Definitely check this out. It's such a great character study on a serial killer, essentially. So this is Jason Dean. Thanks again for your support, and if you like this channel, subscribe to it and Keep the comments coming. I love it. Thank you. Have a great day. Peace.